We've told the stories of many Dark Lords of the Sith on this channel, all of whom were unique and interesting in their own way. But there's one obscure Sith Lord that stands out from the rest, mostly because he was a ghost. This enigmatic character was known as the Dark Underlord, and he led a faction of Sith during the tumultuous New Sith Wars, wreaking havoc across the Republic before he was destroyed by a Jedi Master. In this video, we'll be telling the story of this most mysterious Dark Lord of the Sith.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
Who exactly the Dark Lord originally was is uncertain, and not even the Sith who served him knew how he returned to the world of the living. Stories say that he was a spirit of a great Darksider of old, freed from chaos, the hell to which the servants of darkness were banished, by a Sith acolyte. Some said he was one of the Dark Lords of old, others claimed him to be the reincarnation of Zendor, the leader of the Legions of Leto, the first Dark Jedi to rebel against the Order. But whoever the Dark Underlord originally was, he was powerful, and upon returning to the world of the living, he soon became the Dark Lord of the Sith. His rise happened in approximately 1750 BBY, 2.5 centuries after the start of the New Sith Wars. These were a cataclysmic series of conflicts that ravaged the Republic during the Draggulch period, a time of chaos and terror in which the Republic was brought to its knees for the gazillionth time, and much of the galaxy was under the control of students of the dark side. The wars began with the rise of Darth Ruin, a Jedi renunciate who sparked a 4th grade schism in the Jedi Order. Ruin joined his Dark Jedi with the scattered remnants of the old Sith to form the new Sith, which attempted to rebuild the Sith Empire of old. But Darth Ruin's reign was a short one. His students were jealous of his power and killed him, trying to usurp control of the Sith. Ruin's would-be empire splintered and the new Sith became fractious and chaotic, a tenuous alliance of cults and petty realms that battled each other as much as they did the Jedi and the Republic. But their patchwork empire steadily expanded, dealing the Republic defeat after defeat. And by the Dark Underlord's time, the new Sith controlled large swaths of the Outer Rim. But they were still a disorganized bunch with many claimants to the title of Dark Lord, and over the 1,000-year course of the New Sith Wars, they only united when one claimant was strong enough to overcome all the others. The Dark Underlord was the first since Darth Ruin to achieve this. The Dark Underlord assembled a legion of Sith followers, known to history as the Black Knights, gathering them at a fortress on the Outer Rim planet of Malrev IV. A large portion of the new Sith united under the banner of the Black Knights. The number of the Dark Underlord's followers is unknown, but he seems to have had quite a large army, led in part by a Zeltron Sith general. From their base on Malrev IV, they began a campaign of terror that spread across the Outer Rim, threatening the Republic's control of the entire region, which was already tenuous thanks to centuries of Sith activity and the slow implosion of Republic bureaucracy. During the Black Knight's rampages, the Dark Underlord was known for leading his followers from the front, personally slaying many Jedi over the years. He favoured the dual-bladed Jarkai combat style, but he opted to use alchemically enhanced Sith swords instead of lightsabers, preferring the viscerality of the weapons to the more conventional Sith lightsaber. This might provide a clue toward the Dark Underlord's origins, as most of the ancient Sith Lords of the Sith Empire also preferred swords to lightsabers, as exemplified by Marka Ragnos, Naga Sadow, and Ludo Kresh. This could also suggest that the Dark Underlord predated the lightsaber altogether and was from a time when such swords were mainstream among the Jedi, which lends credence to the Zendor theory. Very little about the Dark Underlord himself is known, apart from the carnage he wrought and his seemingly all-consuming bloodthirst. His power and lust for battle made him and his followers devastating opponents, and the Republic and Jedi struggled to contain the Black Knight's offensive. The Underlord's followers terrorized the Zona Miki hyperspace route, pillaging space stations and Republic colonies wherever they went. They seemingly made no effort to establish an empire or hold any territory, instead waging a purely destructive war. Nonetheless, they did serious damage to the Republic. The The campaign of the Black Knights was the beginning of a centuries-long period in which the Republic would slowly be driven back to the core before all but ceasing to exist. The Black Knights' efforts were likely concentrated in the northern Outer Rim, where Malrev IV was located. Even if that wasn't the case, they undoubtedly caused trouble in the area as they managed to alienate the Mandalorians, whose territory was just across the Hydian Way from Malrev IV. This was the Dark Underlord's biggest mistake, and it provided the Jedi and the Republic a much-needed opportunity to defeat the Black Knights. After a few years of the Black Knights' rampages, the Jedi Council assigned one of their greatest commanders, a Jedi Master named Murtagh, the task of finding a way to defeat the Dark Underlord. Murtagh appears to have had an axe to grind with the Black Knights, but the nature of this grudge and his special fixation with defeating the Dark Underlord is unknown. Regardless, in seeking to destroy the Dark Underlord, Murtagh forged an alliance that few Jedi would have dared to even consider. An alliance with the Mandalorians. Some Jedi would have tried to appeal to the Mandalorians' sense of honor to get them to join the fight against the Dark Underlord. Others would have promised them a glorious battle against a worthy enemy. Murtagh's approach to recruiting the Mandalorians was much simpler. He offered them a ton of credits to go to war on his behalf. The Mandalorians, being practical, took the job. They even committed some of their most prized weapons to the fight, a kind of powerful tank known as the Mandalorian Battle Harness and some Lagatos war dragons, the degenerated descendants of the Basiliskans, a tough, dragon-like species who had reverted to an animal-like state after millennia of being held as slaves by the Mandalorians. Murtagh's plan was simple. The Mandalorians, supported by the Republic military and a team of Jedi Knights, would lead an all-out assault on the Dark Underlord's fortress on Malrev IV. Their attack would draw out the Black Knights, whom Murtagh expected to commit fully to the battle. After the Mandalorians drew the Black Knights out, Murtagh himself would infiltrate the fortress while the Dark Underlord was distracted and assassinate him. It wasn't a very Jedi-like plan, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Murtagh's plan worked. The Black Knights took the bait and were trounced by the Mandalorians, who killed the Dark Underlord's top general in battle. Meanwhile, Murtagh confronted the Dark Underlord and after a lengthy battle, succeeded in destroying him. The Dark Underlord's spirit either returned to chaos or was destroyed, but his defeat wasn't the decisive victory the Jedi had hoped for. Murtagh fell to the dark side during his confrontation with the Underlord, and in the years that followed, he himself became a leader of the new Sith. Additionally, the Black Knights survived the death of their leader and their defeat at the hands of the Mandalorians. The group would see several resurgences over the course of the new Sith Wars, returning again and again to wreak havoc in the rapidly shrinking Republic. The Republic victory in the Battle of Malrev IV would prove to be only a temporary setback for the new Sith, whose ravages would only worsen in the centuries to come. The Dark Underlord's leadership was lost, but new Dark Lords rose up to replace him, and his legacy lasted for hundreds of years. His Black Knights even survived the end of the new Sith Wars, which wiped out the Sith Lords almost entirely. Over 2 centuries after the Battle of Ruusan, the Black Knights saw a resurgence in the Fluhaka Revolt before they were defeated for good by a Padawan named Yoda. So, that's the story of the Dark Underlord and his defeat at the hands of Master Murtagh. But what do you think? Are there other obscure Sith Lords you'd like to see videos on? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.